Under the bus goes Hugo. Let's let's carry on and jump into this next game. Thank you very much for joining us, Watchpoint crew. We, of course, are going to probably focus on the less controversial.
It's a very happy dog. That is a very happy dog.
I mean, yeah, listen, he's a great dog. I've even dog sat from before. He loves to dig holes in the corners of the couch. Big fan of it. So we have the Outlaws going up against the Defiant here, Matt, right? Probably less controversial than maybe our last match of the day. Look, Toronto want to be able to compete in those knockouts like they did last month, but it's looking increasingly less and less likely with them sort of struggling to find results, even though Aspire looks extremely good. The Houston Outlaws kind of figured it out. Jake said, he tweeted, they've been 12-hour days of practice right now. He said, I wish I could stream a bit, but we've been far too busy to do that right now. So Houston, they mean business. They want to be in Hawaii.
Yeah, Houston's going really hard. They feel like they kind of probably messed up a little bit last stage. They feel like they should have been in Hawaii. But here in the June Joust, they're really, really trying to get there. And I think you see with the adjustments they made, bringing in Dreamer at times and then Jake some more. We can talk about the Defiant, though. Aspire was nuts yesterday when we saw him play. I don't know, obviously against the Shock, that's a huge match. But he's coming in as something unknown, right, to that match. Now the Houston Outlaws, they know what he's capable of. Like, he's going to be tracked across the map the entire game. So we'll see now how he plays and how the Toronto Defiant adjust with Aspire being a bit of a known quantity now.
And bear in mind as well that Neist is, I mean, Sorry pointed it out actually on the desk. He is just so flank happy. He really wants to take the time to wrap long way around these enemy setups here and actually try and go for these solo kills. And that's why, by comparison, he actually is leading Dante in terms of those solo kills, whereas Dante's more involved with the core of the team and more so in the fight here. So if the Outlaws are able to play fast enough, Neist might not have enough time to get in position to make the impact he's looking for. That's a little bit of interplay to look out for here. Bear in mind, Dreamer will be going up against his ex-teammate Matthew from the Los Angeles Valiant. Quite a tearful reunion, I'm sure, as Lastro sits on the other side. And we have Crimson and Juby in to start. It'll be Dante and Happy, of course.
Yeah, and it's quite funny in the lobby. Dreamer and Lastro both have the Valiant logo, sending some love across the lobby. But this has been the lineup they've run a lot of this tournament with. Dreamer in that main tank role, whether it's on the Winston, the Ball, the Orisa. We saw some Junggu yesterday, but I think that was a match where they kind of knew that they had in their pocket. So
because the reason why that was weird because Junggu played Dorado. And the last time we saw that from the Outlaws, it was Dreamer playing Dorado. Same comps, essentially, for the Outlaws. So it wasn't just like this player plays this particular map, which is kind of like a reasoning we lean on sometimes, which is not, in fact, it's pretty rarely backed up by fact. Sometimes it's just sort of a form of speculation.
I think it's more to know that they had that series won. They knew they were going to be fine. They could win that series, yes. And it was more of, let's give Junggu some games. Because there's really, I mean, you could scrim with a player, but there's no simulation for like a real Overwatch League match. So to get Junggu some more play time there.
Yeah, players have often expressed their frustration with that they've, that they really can't replicate official match conditions. Even if they scrim and take it very seriously, it doesn't feel remotely the same. In fact, this is something that has been pointed out by professional competitors over multiple different esports. It's just so hard to recreate this particular environment. Speaking of which, Lijiang Tower will be the environment control center. And of course, here are your out-of-rotation heroes. Reinhardt, crucially, unavailable for selection. And of course, Tracer and Sombra also out of the mix here. So the Toronto Defiant, by the way, fantastic piece of art featuring Sato enjoying a 2-liter bottle of a Coca-Cola beverage on Reddit recently. Do recommend checking that out. Fantastic art. Maybe it'll get featured as well. These two teams, been a little while since they've gone head-to-head here, and yeah, it was a reverse sweep for the Outlaws last year. Much has changed since then, though, Matt. We're out of the gates here, and Happy still on the sim.
Yeah, so you have a double shield look for the Defiant with the Symmetra Doom, and Dante opts to play the Mei, and they're going to play a D.Va here as well. You're going to be able to get the sim so powered up for the Outlaws, though, off of this double shield.
And it's a pretty good start for Houston here, Matt. Overnight, the Seoul Dynasty opted to play a similar defensive setup here on Lijiang Tower, right? We haven't seen a ton of Mei And I think it's definitely specific to this map and this stage. But we know how well she synergizes here in these compositions, just isolating that front line.
Oh, yeah, I mean, anytime you have a... Look at how small this choke is. Anytime you have a choke that forces a team through, whether now they're going to go up towards that high ground, you're going to get really good benefits from May. Especially now with the, you have the Symmetra in the mix, the turrets can slow players down, you can get the wall. If they TP, it's very obvious where they're going. So the Coalescence is the Outlaws want to get aggressive behind this. They're getting very close to a Blizzard into Symmetra.
Yeah, one of the odd situations that Defiant are dealing with is the fact that they only have the Amplification Matrix. They don't have a Coalescence, so there's not a lot to actually pressure Dreamer. With that Moira ultimate unavailable to the Defiant, they actually have to get past that Orisa barrier to get rid of Dreamer.
I'd also say who is getting value out of the Amp Matrix for the Toronto Defiant?
Just Lastro.
Lastro, like maybe Sato. Yeah, you're really only you're prioritizing the immortality field really over everything here.
Such an odd choice. We'll see if it works out, Matt. Here are the Symmetra walls. That's going to be pretty confusing. 2 walls in play right now. Fortunately, Nice's kit is geared toward not caring at all about how those walls work. Meteor Strike, Sound Barrier, good timing for that one, but it's not enough to save Dreamer. There's too many barriers in play to ensure you can catch everybody with that Lucio ultimate. Frustrating for Juvie is that ultimate really doesn't have the intended effect, Matt, but the Outlaws are very far ahead in this round, and they can hold on to some of those ults.
Yeah, and Dreamer actually comes back on the Wrecking Ball. They want to keep trying to just gain the percentage. Dante in an ice block on the point. You'll get up to about above, 90% here. I wonder if they commit to these changes.
They'll switch the ball.
They switch the ball. Do you keep them at 3? This is a little bit of a throwback, right? This is something we saw in the May Melee, except with like a Reinhardt in the mix. The May McCree.
Yeah, we've seen this as well, Matt, from our Eastern region teams overnight a lot. The Dragons went for this kind of thing too, so we're very defensive. Interesting that you have the Moira in this composition. You definitely need to get good value out of the flashbang if possible, and Dante didn't get value out of the Blizzard at all, but Piggy finds the bomb kill on Sato, and that's it. There really is no coming back from this. It's a Coalescence. The backline is besieged, so the Toronto Defiant are despondent. There might be some stall here, maybe if Wrecking Ball can touch, but it's going to be rough.
Yeah, I mean, Michelle is the closest one. They do a good job of chasing him down. They get him out of his mech, and Sato steps onto the point, gets frozen. This should just be a matter of time for the Outlaws to close it out.
Fancy footwork from Juvie there as he gets his skates on. He is going to be the sound barrier for the Defiance. Lastro also goes for an air matrix, but that looks primarily blocked off by the May wall. Here's something. Symmetra barrier in play. This would where Nice could go more aggressive, but I think he'll just settle for the Outlaws giving up the point.
That sound barrier was huge for Toronto. The sound barrier is and the Meteor Strike, the kill on a Dreamer. It's massive. It just dislodges the Orisa off of the point. Dante now will play Doomfist, as this looked like it was one where the Outlaws were going to close it out. They picked up a few kills, got to 99. This will be a Deadeye. Happy in a really tough position. Yeah, he gets boot knocked everywhere.
And that's what the Defiance comp is going to do to you now with the Wrecking Ball. They're looking to go past the Orisa barrier and not just break it down. Despite that, Matt, you talked about how important sound barrier was. Juvie gets one himself, this time unfettered by annoying Symmetra walls to break line of sight. Aspire really doesn't have a look in here at all. He'll be hit there with the seismic slam, and that'll be the first round. The Defiant show a little bit of gumption, but really Houston never looked like they put the foot off the gas.
Yeah, they do make it quite interesting, Toronto, towards the end, but I think what you look at that first round, obviously a lot of compositional changes between both teams, but I think the one thing that really kind of pays off for Houston in the long run is having the Moira. You got way more value out of the Coalescences when you got them from Crimso than the Amp Matrix when Lastro got them. Lastro goes to the Moira at the end to go back and touch. They come out here, Toronto, at least looking like they want to run the Batiste again.
Now maybe there's a little bit more for, the rest of the Defiant to do with an Amp Matrix based on what this composition appears to be. The Outlaws, we saw plenty of this from them yesterday. Dante back to the Echo. Again, the McCree's annoying, but there's so many ways of breaking line of sight with the terrain here that it may not be a huge issue.
This is so defensive from Toronto. The Baptiste, the Reaper, the Orisa, and the McCree. this is a composition that wants to just bait the Outlaws in. They get Dreamer right away, which is exactly what they want. There's no mercy pocket for Dante up in the sky, so he's a free target for the Batiste and the McCree. Very defensive. Toronto, though, plays it well off the start.
Maybe the only way it gets more defensive than this, Matthew, if there's like a Brigitte or something in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Sigma.
Still. Dreamer doesn't want to do this diving. Also, Aspire is hitting a very large amount of long-range shots. A lot of those are headshots, so you notice that Dreamer's losing like 20% of his health still with each of those headshots. You have to respect McCree even with the damage fall off on this map. Here's the dive. Coalescence. Immortality Field has to be used to keep Aspire alive, and the defense mate just gets stuck right in his face by Piggy, who will be desuited. And while all the attention is focused on Aspire, the rest of the Defiant go to work.
And you see the Batiste way more impactful now as you want to play really close together, fight on this point. Your focal point is playing around the Orisa. The Immortality Field was huge there, and the Ant Matrix. And even with that Coalescence to just kind of power up everybody on the Outlaws and push them in, it's still not enough. You're nowhere close to a sound barrier here as well for Houston. It's going to be rough.
Dreamer, I mean, he has to be careful. Sound barrier now, and he gets blown up instantly. 4 people involved in that elimination. You can see just how much of that utility gets aimed at Dreamer. And this is where we have to answer the question that the desk sort of feels like they have. You know, Johnny mentioned he feels like the double shielders, or at least the Orisa compositions are the way to go. The Outlaws are running into a brick wall right now with this setup, and something has to give.
Well, we've seen teams run what the Outlaws are running now and beat the Orisa-based compositions. But it's mostly when the team on the other side from the Outlaws, let's say, would be like outmatched anyway, right?
Yeah, like mechanically or fundamentally, yeah.
Right. Toronto just a very good team. That fight, all they needed was a supercharger to really win it.
Duplicate, Dante, when the Creed spurred boots hit the ground, Aspire's already been removed here. Dante with a dead eye from the duplication. Crimso's already done all the work he had to, and Dante has the focusing beam when he comes out of Duplicate. A lot of cooldowns. You have the McCree cooldowns, and then immediately you have access to all of your Echo abilities when you come out. It's pretty scary stuff. 12% now for the Outlaws.
So let's see now how this all plays out, because the composition for Toronto is very defensive, like we mentioned. It's great when you actually get control of the point. How do you play this when you're having to push into the point? Dante also moves away from Echo and goes over to Doomfist. So Doomfist just want to get in and disrupt as much as possible. Doom even just knocking players out of the Immortality Field and knocking them off.
Yeah, it's a multi-target seismic slam that gives you so much durability, right? Getting more than one person with that is absolutely insane. Okay, Wraithwalk has to be used early by Nice, but Happy gets caught, flash, and halted in place. Nothing you can do if you're McCree. Still, the sound barrier gives the Outlaws a bit of impetus. The Outlaws are looking for a way to even up the player count here, but they've just not been able to do that at all. In fact, they lose Dreamer, so it's a bit of a bluff, that aggression, and nothing more. Juby, desperation, trying to find something, but the Defiant are just going to move back in here.
Toronto's just so healthy. When the Outlaws try and push in, just the Batiste healing with that Ant Matrix looks like Dreamer went to go touch the point. Yeah. He gets booped away by Asunja, and then Happy not able to TP fast enough. Very dominant point there for Toronto Defiant. You can see, at least if you're Toronto now, that your defensive comps can work against these Winston-based compositions. So do they play something like that again here? I probably would say so. Do we see like a TP to the point? Maybe you can play the Doomfist with it. That's a little bit more aggro, maybe like a Reaper, but we'll see if both teams opt for the Symmetra TP. Right now, it's just Toronto hovering it. Could give them a huge advantage getting that point early.
Matt, you mentioned with approximately equal cohesion, the Orisa-based composition looks to just be better if the teams pound for pound are similar in just their fundamental ability at Overwatch. Let's see if that follows here, because the Outlaws refuse to switch. They say, no, we think we can derive an advantage even with this composition against the Defiants. Right, well, it's a trade early on here. Lastra is able to get rid of Dreamer. Crucially, Nice is down, so that flank pressure for the Outlaws is gone, so they can take their time a little bit more here. But eventually, they're going to have to go for the throat. They're going to have to deal with this durability with Orisa at the front.
He may have a bit more luck, though. The Echo can put so much pressure from the side, but Michelle does a nice job tracking Dante, taking him out early. You know the Echo is such a large source of the damage.
Aspire is able to dance that shield, and there's nothing Dreamer can really do to pressure. That's the dangerous part here about dealing with the Defiant, Matthew. not only in longer fights is Lastro getting a lot more ultimate percentage and getting more of those amp matrices, but Aspire charges up over the course of a fight, and he turns into an absolute raid boss. The Outlaws, their composition, it's like a short duration heal. Like, Crimzo eventually runs out of juice. The Outlaws want to win a fight in the first 5 seconds, and if they don't do that, they're in deep trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Dante from that off angle wants to get a player weak. They all jump on the sticky bombs, the focusing beam, you blow them all up, but they haven't been able to find that. This is Coalescence plus Sound Barrier here being invested for Houston. This is a huge fight. Crimzo goes down to the Symmetra turret.
So much happening on the point there. A wall cutting it straight down the middle probably makes it hard for Happy to get purchase on his intended targets, and Dante didn't get a Sound Barrier.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's not looking good for Houston. And when the Outlaws want to play like more Baptiste setups, they've been bringing in Jake to play that role. So maybe they just want to commit here to the Lucio-based compositions. You'll have a Primal Rage self-destruct here. Supercharger and the aggression coming in for Toronto straight away.
Nice, burns the Wraith Walk immediately. Has to use his medial strike there, otherwise he definitely dies to Echo. Happy doesn't have Wraith Walk and he knows it. He's trying to go for the kill on the Reap, but we can't get it. Happy takes him down. And the Supercharger having been removed prior means the Outlaws finally have a chance to get back. But Matt, these last 2 rounds have been the opposite story of the first. It's been the Outlaws having to claw back from a deficit here, and how long can they hold on to the point is the big question.
Right, I mean, this fight you'll have a duplicate. I like this switch from Toronto. I said it earlier in the round, I would have liked to see the Reaper. The Doomfist was not effective at all. I think you'll get much better value out of Reaper here.
Another wall in the way. Here's that Reaper value we were looking for, Matt, but the Amplification Matrix nullifies any of that kill potential. Or the Immortality Field, rather. No chance for Happy to get what he came for. Dante gets blown up awfully quick. Not even a chance to build up the self-destruct in that form, and now he's a duplicated Mini-Diva. Much less satisfying than being Echo right now. And this is that late fight threat the Symmetra offers Aspire, starting to burn them down. The Outlaws have the point for the time being, but the Defiant are just playing with their food. They'll set up behind Sato. TP also erected. Self-destruct to create some space. Sound Barrier, it's enough for now. Just keeps Dream alive, but only just. And Nice is looking for a little bit more. Piggy trying to use the tree to break some of that damage, and he's actually having to get away, but he's still Mini-Diva form. He got back in. He's ready to go.
Well, they know that Lastro is stuck in the choke, and he's going to use an Amp Matrix backed by his spawn. This is such a weird positioning. One fight, nice select with a Death Blossom. And you see the effect that this Reaper has just so much more consistent the damage output than the Doomfist.
The Outlaws, though, still getting over the Doomfist from Happy. Dream is able to catch Anshinjay by the ankle as he tries to escape, but it's not really going to be enough. Aspire falls to Juby, though, but it's just the Lucio for the Outlaws. Crimzo, Walter's on up with the Coalescence here, but knows he's still fallible in that form. He can still be eliminated, so he needs to be careful. Nice, just waits for Crimzo to come around the corner at him, and as he just deserts, this self-destruct will really only buy a little bit of time. There's hardly any presence on the point. Dante has to sneak on in there, and the Outlaws, stubborn, refusing to play that shield setup. And it might come back to bite them here. That will be map number 1 in Toronto. With the more durable, long fight resilient setup, we'll take it away.
And just better compositional choices there from the Toronto Defiant. The Des talked about really liking the Orisa-based compositions. Here you get some good points, especially on Lijiang Tower to make good work of the Orisa. And we saw that the Houston Outlaws just wanted to commit to the Winston-based setups. You know, they run the Orisa on the first point. They end up winning it. They actually never go back to it, which is quite odd as Toronto steals map number 1.
Back to the drawing board for the Outlaws. Jake said that they figured things out last week, and they figured things out by playing the Shield comp, so maybe a switch up here in roster or composition. Stick around, Outlaws fans, you better hope so.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Oh yeah, there's nothing quite like getting some of my boy Harsher in some of that hype B-roll. You'd love to see it. You'd love to see this as well from Summer Showdown champion with the Guangzhou Charge to the Dynamo DPS from the Houston Outlaws. Obviously happy, really made waves when he first came into the league, and he's not done there. More of I guess a deeper or wider hero pool than a lot of people with his designation, man. Happy really gives the Outlaws a huge leg up this year.
Yeah, and he kind of goes under the radar a little bit in such a flashy offseason of additions, really just kind of player movement over the whole league, where he's been massive for the Houston Outlaws. You looked at what type of player they wanted to put next to Dante. Happy is a perfect fit, and you've seen it pay off really well for the Outlaws over the course of their season thus far. Here against Toronto, they find themselves down 1-0. They make some changes, so Junggu will come in for Dreamer, and then Jake will actually come in here for Juby. So this gives the Outlaws the Batiste look that we kind of thought they missed maybe here on map number 1. Jake also kind of plays the Mercy, but now you lack any type of Lucio play. I think Jake has even gone on record saying his Lucio is not ready, I think, for the Overwatch League stage as of yet. But you still feel really good about his Batiste. You feel good about his Mercy.
Absolutely. Here's your map leaderboard presented by Xfinity, and you can see that the Outlaws have been on the receiving end of a pretty fast time. They've delivered one themselves in fairness, and then Toronto at number 3 there. I mean, this setup for the Outlaws that we normally see, I guess it's the Crimso Batiste, but yeah, Jake on the Mercy or Jake on the Brig has normally sort of been the consideration for us in this setup, so haven't really seen any. I mean, as much as Jake was grinding Batiste on the ladder, he doesn't touch it here in games when you've got someone like Crimso on your team. It's far too dangerous a player to take the flex support away.
Right, so we'll see what the Outlaws decide to bring out. I think this would be like double shield, but Junggu coming in kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into it, because we saw them the other day. We actually thought that he was just in because it was a little bit of a blowout of a series, but bringing him in here when you find yourselves down 1-0 versus Toronto is a much different circumstance, right? Aspire coming out on the Widowmaker, we saw what he was able to do the other day on that hero. Just some crazy stuff. I mean, that shot on the Glister on Junkertown was just wild. In Toronto will play the Orisa Sigma. So they'll go with a traditional like double shield type of setup. I mean, they could play up on this high ground. They can really control that first corner. Could be difficult for the Outlaws to break.
I love that point about Aspire's shot there as well, because people normally think of Widowmaker as a very flick-oriented hero as a hit scan. But the tracking required to do what Aspire did was really next level. Also means he's probably a decent tracer when she makes her way back into the rotation. So Aspire's Widow, definitely to be feared. And yes, unsurprisingly, the Outlaws have changed tack quite drastically. Completely different tank line here. It's double shield for Houston and Happy on the McCree.
So they do put Jake on the Mercy. So it's interesting. They bring him in to play Mercy and Break, but they also need him to come in so Crimso can play the Batiste. They don't really kind of play it without this type of
I mean, they don't play Batiste Lucio anymore. Not without Ryan. Yeah, Aspire's in a pretty safe spot here. Yeah, Happy can't do anything about this position at all. So now it's just like, let's hope Widow doesn't shoot us. There are 2 shields, so if the Outlaws play compact and keep a barrier up, Aspire won't be able to have that impact, but there's no way Happy's going to get sent over there. Maybe Dante will harass.
Well, they know that Dante comes around in these like flanks. We've seen this a few times when they've played Rialto. I think Aspire is definitely aware of it. It'll be an Ant Matrix towards the front of the fight, as it's actually nice coming behind 2 players. It'll be nice finishing off one. Michelle is able to grab the other. But when they notice that flank is coming around, they just push everybody else on through. They don't really kind of care for Happy, Dante, and Jake going on this huge flank to try and put down some of that damage. And they know they have a huge damage advantage. Oh, Dante's going to get out with his life, barely. But they know they have a huge damage advantage when they have their Echo in position with their Mercy, with an Ant Matrix and both of their tanks versus none of the damage dealers on the other side.
Spire finds Dante there, crucially. And you notice that Nice wasn't even really flanking. In fact, Happy saw where Nice was. It wasn't one of those giga flanks that he likes to go on, just good positioning in general. Michelle goes down to the Deadeye and is resurrected instantly, and you can see that Nice is getting value from over the top right now and not really being pressured. He dropped down there for a moment. He got flashed as he hit the ground, and Aspire with a very safe, very passive position. It's ill-advised for Happy to challenge this, as the headshot will still be pretty punishing, but he fancies a bit of a duel here. He's on Widow duty right now.
A big Rabbinic Flux, though, there from Piggy, finishing off players underneath. But yeah, I mean, you see that Aspire's going up against. Even when he kills Happy, the pocket from Jake is just so strong that he's just going to get res straight up. As it seems like Asunjay really wants to put all of his resources into Nice. So Aspire will change here, go with Hangzhou. So a little bit more burst damage than the Widowmaker. Obviously not as much one-shot potential, although you can with Hangzhou. This also just gives them a little bit more verticality, a little bit more mobility, able to control the high ground. See Aspire with a headshot right on the Happy to kick things off.
What I like about Aspire, Matt, is that he's been playing in a low-maintenance fashion by taking those really passive, really safe angles, so someone like Armsinjay can actually put all those resources into Nice. That's a big difference maker, allowing your Echo to do so much work. Sato Supercharger goes down here, and there's a duplicate in the works. Orisa duplicated. Nice going to drop down now, immediately throws a barrier. 3 shields in play, and all of them getting blown over by the Outlaws right now. They are here to play, and Aspire tried to flank, but Happy wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah, he's above Happy. Happy actually turns with a flashbang and then takes him out with a damage boost. So really nice play there from Happy. You see how much pressure these tanks for Toronto are under. They can't even get towards the payload. They're just so weak. They're just trying to stay alive, getting shot from all these off angles. The payload will get over the line. Toronto will end up winning the fight in the long run, but doesn't really matter.
I don't think you're over the moon about that result for Toronto. I think it was definitely a bit of a lapse there. I think they turned their attention towards Happy, who was playing very far forward for McCree, in fairness. And they blew him up, as you're going to do. Maybe could have been a little bit closer to the car. That's okay. They're still going to play pretty aggressively here, and they can use an amplification matrix to make it really hard to shift them, at least for the next few moments.
It's like they give up the second point, but they still want to play like they have it.
I mean, I get it.
It's a decent spot to hold. I mean, just let them burn some ultimates, right?
Oh my, that is nuts. What a crucial kill. Happy, this is a keyhole shot. Doesn't find it. Maybe an Ant Matrix in play there. Either way, Happy shuts down the Gravitic Flux. I think there were 4 people trying to go to work there on Michelle. Eventually he gets brought down, which means that the Outlaws don't get brought down. Sato goes gold. He'll get taken down. Back to the showers for another 2-liter Coca-Cola. And this will be the Outlaws to push up now. 3 minutes left in the round, Matt.
So the positives for Toronto is that you got them to burn some ultimates. They ended up using their duplicate. There's Supercharger there. I believe they ended up using their Gravitic Flux really early on. You didn't burn any of the support ultimates. They stacked them here, though, and you have a Dragon, but you're not even looked like it's going to be able to make it out of spawn, really make anything happen. This will be nice with a copy onto the Mercy, and that didn't really do anything. So the Outlaws just walked the cart on in after that. Yeah, he flanked. Maybe he had to have been going for a tank, or maybe he is trying to make the hero play of copying the Mercy, getting a res off on the cart, and then I mean, I don't even know.
You copy Mercy, you res, you Glock some fool, you get Valk, and you Glock another fool. I believe that's how it's written in the Holy
not
Scriptures
the highest
of Mercy
percentage of
duplication.
play there. I have to believe that that it was a mistake there, or the only player he had within like line of sight, and he was low. But still, I mean, the Outlaws do a really good job there, bouncing back after map 1.
Happy's really helping the Outlaws blow down these barriers, Matt. That Amp Matrix goes up in that last fight. Sato puts his barrier down, and then it's gone basically instantly. Crimzo doesn't miss with it. Yeah, so this is the Amp Matrix that just look at how quickly Matt Sato gets blown apart. Bye. Yeah, lasts about as long as you would in the vacuum of space.
No wonder why. Sato just all those 2 liters for happiness. As you know, you get blown up like that, you need a refreshing.
Oh yeah, it's back to those beverage fueled endorphins, Matt. Just keep it coming. Need a dopamine loop after that one. So, out of the gates come the Toronto Defiant now. They'll have Hangzhou. So, again, similarly, Matt, they have a really large amount of shield pressure. You could argue even more front-loaded just numbers when it comes to getting rid of some of those pesky barriers.
Yeah, it's just the Hangzhou's a little bit better at like controlling the high ground than McCree. Happy keeps going on these long flanks. He doesn't care about the high ground. He knows. I mean, this is a battle between Heist and Happy of who is on the flank more, and they both have the mercy pocket. Just a good old-fashioned 1v1 back there.
Wait, what? Happy? What was that rotation? He really quickly wrapped around there. He goes up the stairs, drops down, and comes around through the archway. I don't think Nice was ready for that at all. That's kind of filthy.
It is something though that they definitely read, that like he's patrolling that area of the map because he knows that's where Nice likes to come from. Yeah, he likes to go on these flanks.
Nice hates making eye contact, doesn't he? You know, avoid large groups, skirt around the edges.
Well, make him take the fight straight up. That's kind of where the Outlaws want it to happen. They don't want to allow him to get going on these off angles and cause chaos.
Yeah, really embodying the mindset and play style of a perpetual flanker is nice, but that makes him maybe a little predictable. That's at least what the Outlaws are trying to make use of presently. That's a good spot for a spy to be, though. Happy again, you better believe. Oh my god, second to the party! Last one to leave, though. Aspire, Storm Arrow, okay, just spews arrows in Happy's direction. And obviously with Mercy there, Nice gets resurrected, so maybe not so worth, especially if Jake gets sticky, gets the goo from Nice. Aspire still in that flanking position, so this card will get shepherded forward, and Crimzo didn't have a chance there with the Sonic Arrow.
Yeah, a few ultimates, though, for the Outlaws to use to bounce back. Nice shot there from Aspire.
I mean,
his aim is clean.
Where did they find this guy?
I don't even know if where did they find this guy is the correct thing. It's like they better keep this guy. They better not. It was like a 30-day signing.
That temporary contract about to get a bit of extendo-matic, you know what I'm saying? All right, well, the Spire burnt down there by Dante. He's finally able to find that Hangzhou and get rid of that constant pressure from above. Nice. Accretion copy. Oh, there's going to be a lot of fluxes. Oh my god, what goes up must come down before going up and then coming down once more, apparently. Nice is able to find 2 kills with that one. The Outlaws feel like they're in a front-loaded washing machine. Lastro taken down by Happy, though, and with Junkie back in the fight, even 2 fluxes. Well, let's just say the Outlaws don't give none.
On fire. So that time, Happy goes around on his own little flank. He does his Somensu again with the flashing and the hammer on
the legacy will live on.
Yeah, it will never die. Toronto's in a terrible spot. No ultimates to work with here. Maybe you get an Ant Matrix out of just taking tons of damage, but you're gonna walk into an Ant Matrix. Jake should be able to farm up a Valkyrie here, Supercharger. I mean, a lot for Toronto to overcome.
It's stuff like that. Finding those airborne targets, not just finding them, but getting a headshot. That's what mitigates your damage fall off as McCree, is just hit him in the noggin. Aspire got brought back after the sticky bombs claimed him again, and the Hangzhou starting to turn out as maybe a bit of a vulnerability here for the Defiant. The Outlaws keep pouncing on Aspire. Lastro drops down. How much time do you have to deal with this? A bit of a Batman plays. You just send, throw down the Ant Matrix. Crimson loses his immortality field, but it bought enough time for the Outlaws to get away from the purview of Lastro. Oh, that's huge. Happy finds Ansunjae. That is a gigantic kill, and he is yet again on another flank, showing that he can do it just a little better. Where's Nice, I wonder? Oh, we'll look for the skulls instead. No C9 potential here for the Outlaws. They have Jangu comfortably sat on the cart. And Nice is going to use that free health to try and chase the Orisa down. It looks like Jangu is the better cow. And the Outlaws will take away Rialto much more convincingly.
Oh, without a doubt. They looked really strong here on Rialto. And maybe you kind of look back at this series, depending on how it goes, and they just kind of got counter-comped pretty hard there in map number 1, because once we saw things that looked much more resembling of like a mirror type of composition, and the Outlaws were very good. I mean, they finished them out with 2 minutes 40 in the bank. Toronto not even able to take the first point. The Outlaws did have a huge advantage going into that last fight, so you kind of knew where things were headed, but still, Houston closes it out to tie things up at 1 map apiece.
Yeah, I don't know how much more evidence we need, Matt, to suggest that the double shield, or at least the Orisa-based compositions, are the way to go. The Outlaws try that one on for size, and it fits like a glove. Stick around, because map 3 is coming around the corner, and these two teams are neck and neck.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody. We've been huge fans of what you've been submitting to our fan art gallery so far this season. On a personal note, one of my favorite additions, really getting you all involved and showcasing some of your artistic talents. This week, we'd love it if you could submit your favorite Overwatch League player enjoying a cold Coca-Cola beverage. Like I mentioned, there's a great one of Sato with the 2-liter bottle that went up on Reddit. Huge fan of that one. For a chance to be featured in the gallery. So you can submit your work at overwatchleague.com/art-gallery. And yeah, we always like to try and take the chance to call out the awesome stuff when we can, but obviously there's too much good stuff so far to really count. So thank you very much. Here's something to have set your eyes on, I guess, for the time being. It's our power rankings with IBM Watson. This is our DPS players entering this week. And you see the Nice, Happy, and Dante all feature in the top 20, which, in fairness, the top 20, Matt, these are scores of 104 or more. So all these players are above league average.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you see Happy ranked at number 8. If you remember back to the main melee, had some tremendous performances on heroes like Hangzhou, right? You think like Temple of Anubis, he put up some really good games. Nice, I feel like it's kind of been going under the radar a little bit. He's had some good performances. He just doesn't, he's pretty consistent, right? Where he doesn't have like these
the word
crazy,
I keep hearing. Yeah.
He doesn't have these crazy like pop-off games, but he's always consistently pretty good. He always has like some moments during the game. So you expect to see him up there. And then Juby now comes in for Jake, and then obviously Dante on that list as well.
A really interesting comparison. Who made it? Was it Yiska maybe? Someone said that they felt like Aspire reminded them of Shockwave when he first started playing last year, and how he really impressed us with, especially like his hit scan based play. I think you use the word consistent to describe Nice. And I actually think that people have used it to describe both him and I'm 37, right? Very consistent. The Defiant have always had this nature of just being very, very solid, very, very serviceable, very dependable. But, you need more than that to beat a team like the Houston Outlaws. And maybe Aspire, in time, allows them to transcend this moniker of being solid, just plugging along, just like the pack mules of the Overwatch League, so to speak. And already we've seen some exciting stuff from him. And maybe, Nice keeps going on those flanks. Aspire just looks so very solid and so, flashy sometimes with the Widow. There might be some magic there.
With the Outlaws making the substitution, you think they want to play something with the Lucio in the mix, with Juby coming back in, where Volskaya is a map that you would definitely want the Lucio in for. It's a map where you need the speed to get towards the chokes. The map gets very large at times. We'll see what they decide to do on their offensive side, though. Could decide to just pocket the Echo, as looks like Toronto on defense. They'll play the Ashe Echo setup with double shield, and they will play the Mercy. So obviously you don't really need the Lucio, the speed boost on defense to engage. Obviously with this comp, you wouldn't even really think about it. So you're able to be able to pocket your Echo and your Ashe.
I remind you that this is an important match for both of these teams. The chances for Houston and Toronto to a lesser degree, but it's still there to compete in the knockouts for the June Joust, is absolutely on the line. And with how evenly matched they are, you know that these two teams are really going to buckle down and try and get the very best out of their teammates here in these next few moments. The Outlaws have Happy on the Hangzhou here. Again, he's quite flexible. We've seen him on multiple different hit scan picks and some projectile stuff in the past. It'll be Aspire on the Ashe. And no Lucio, Matt, for the Outlaws on attack.
No, they'll end up playing the Mercy. So when you're going to commit to the double shield with the Sigma Orisa, you don't need the speed. It is kind of telling, though. I think you do want to potentially play the Lucio at some point, because otherwise you would have just left Jake in, right? Like if you were going to play like Mercy or maybe like Rig, like a slower type of composition,
you would have
leave him in the game. Yeah.
Again, Houston. Very good start, and that really comes from the fact that Dante just vomits damage onto the front line there. The Defiant just lose in the heal in the damage trades so badly. And with Anjun J having to duck back and heal Aspire, just as like the burst damage was hitting the front line of the Defiant, they got rolled over. Not a great start. 5 minutes 47 on the clock here. Talking about speedy maps. Map before the break. This could be another at this rate.
And you're getting close to having the Dragon Strike, so you can get the Halt Dragon Strike combo. That's a headshot on the Sato.
Oh,
he gets really low.
Oh, man. Okay, Immortality Field has to be used. It's removed. Oh, it got removed too early. Michelle goes down. Happy only finding the one kill with the Dragon Strike, but Sigma's quite a big pelt to throw over your shoulder and carry back to the lodge, if I do say so. Dante's going to have a duplication, but he may not need it here. The sticky bombs are going to lay Lastro awful low. And Dante duplicates the Sigma now. A big target to get in the way of Aspire and make it hard for him to influence the fight on this Ashe. Dante will push as far as he has to now. Gravitic Flux connection, that's a dead Lastro. He won't be healed up quickly enough, and 5 minutes and 2 is left on the clock. To say that that was quick is going to be a little bit of an understatement.
Not good. Not good for Toronto, Mitch.
Great bedside manner, Matthew.
You know, I mean, that is... It's not good. So how do you bounce back from this? Well, just set a record time in the top 5. I mean, that's as simple as it gets, right? I mean, that's just inexcusable. I mean, you can't vie to be like one of the top teams and give up a 5-minute time bank on an assault map.
Do you remember how we were talking about, you know, the Outlaws not being able to play that sort of Winston Diva comp because they were approximately evenly matched fundamentally? I think the golf gets exposed much more now that they're playing similar comps, right? Or at least they're playing the safer Orisa-based comps.
What's also interesting is that we've seen Dreamer for most of the June Joust this far.
Yeah.
We saw Junggu the other day against, I believe it was London. We kind of wrote that off as like, oh yeah, just kind of, you know, just put him in and let him get some run. But here against Toronto, when you want to move away from the Winston completely, they bring him back to play the Orisa, which was looking like something that Dreamer was doing a lot of, playing the Winston, playing the Orisa. So interesting for the Outlaws, changing things up just a little bit. Happy on defense will be playing the Hangzhou Juby on the Mercy yet again. So no Lucio play from Juby here. You leave him to play Mercy full-time. Aspire going on a little bit of a flank with the Widowmaker here. Let's see if he gets caught out.
So far, not so bad.
Happy knows, because he doesn't see any... I mean, they haven't spotted any DPS as a choke, yeah.
If you're happy, you know what? Fire off a bunch of arrows in the direction and hope that you randomly get a headshot because you're playing Hangzhou. I believe that's how the song goes. Nice! In the drink! Excuse me! That ain't it, champ! What do you need an ice bath for?
That's a sideshow special of the day.
Nice, and the fact that you can say that deadpan means you've seen some stuff, man.
Look, I've seen it all. When you play at our rank, you have seen everything. Aspire and Asunjae are very far behind the Outlaws at this point. They are in an odd spot, to say the least, and they just keep going further and further back. All right, it's a 2v1 situation. Juby's not going. Now Juby's back to help Dante.
Oh! Aspire, he stepped on the explosive goo. Oh, okay, that's not ideal. He's so far away from his
alive. Team. They still haven't killed the Mercy yet. All right, here we go. Finally.
He is begging for sweet release. Finally, Dante deals him.
So Aspire now will play Hangzhou. As we take a look at the replay.
What happens?
This is nice. This POV.
Oh.
I think okay. So what happens there is I think he actually still believes he can float, but because he clips the wall acts as like a surface, so you lose that floaty ability that Echo has, and he just hits the ground. Quite unfortunate, though. Quite unfortunate.
Imagine giving yourself concrete booties, man.
That is a huge gravitic flux, but I don't think it matters.
Okay. So this is a tilter, as they say.
This is one for the ages.
The Defiant are decidedly off kilter currently.
Yep.
Not only after losing Nice to some nefarious circumstances,
to himself.
but also having that is the case. Also having Aspire forced out of position and losing a lot of time there. The Outlaws have obviously
case of Toronto versus the Defiant.
You had to do it. I had people correct me, like, did you say Dallas versus... Yes, of course I did. Come on, guys. 2018 wasn't that long ago.
What?
Here's the Dragon Strike coming up, Matt. And Leoop, it goes. There is an Immortality Field in there, but Junggu deals with that pretty early on. Zato was quite low, but Lastro uses a Regenerative Burst.
Dante in there, though, with a duplicate. I mean, okay. If he gets that Gravitic Flux off, that would have been massive, but...
The Supercharger Amp Matrix.
They've used everything. They've literally popped everything. Amp Matrix, Valkyrie, double Supercharger. All you got left here is a Gravitic Flux.
Nice is not happy, Jan. Not happy, Jan! Crimso picks him off there as Ansun J was elsewhere. Still, one tick on the point right now for the Defiant. They move on in. Lastro gets rid of his opposite number across the map, and that's no Batiste for the Outlaws. This is a probing Gravitic Flux. Immortality Field is taken down, and Jungle gets the pile drive, Matt. I mean, this is looking like an ill-fated wrestling match.
You couldn't get more unlucky. He uses the... I thought Michelle was going to actually use the Gravitic Flux, but Peggy uses his, and Sato gets taken out right away. But the ball comes in, makes a huge impact. Sato now switches over to the Wrecking Ball. He may not even get a use out of Michelle's Gravitic Flux, which is kind of quite sad, as Sato can't get anywhere near the point. Houston, tremendous offense, 5 minutes in the bank. Didn't even matter. Toronto not able to take point A. As the Outlaws dominate here on Volskaya.
Oh my. The Defiant, they really didn't get much of a start here. We kind of wondered, why are the Outlaws leaning in towards this Winston-based composition? Do they not have a double shield set up? They do. They were just saving it to make sure they needed it. So yes, the Defiant forced the Outlaws to go for the safer composition as opposed to maybe the quote-unquote more fun one. But the Outlaws make absolutely short work of them there on Volskaya Industries. And if you're the Toronto Defiant, you're pretty shattered right now. Maybe your expectations, went the wrong direction after map number 1, because now that stone cold reality hits along with the accretions from Piggy. It's going to be a long road for the Defiant to get back. Stick around and enjoy this really amusing clip we found on Funny or Die.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
no one seems to be able to stop Dante.
Nobody does it better. I'm sorry, but nobody does it better. Oh my god, that is filthy! Come on, man! Dante is actually just playing with his food! Dante's in the backline once more, just causing havoc. Look at him, zipping, zooping, zapping around. He is a man on a mission.
There's the post. There's the drag as well! Oh my god, I didn't expect it. Huge post bomb, Dante!
He's in the backline, and he's tearing him up! Tearing him to pieces! When Dante is playing on point, he makes a case for one of the best tracers in the world. This is what's so scary about Houston. There's going to be the hold in the stick, and there's the bomb. Dante coming up with a double kill, just ripping people to shreds. Dante one clip. Dante might be able to clutch this one up for him right now. Oh my goodness! Post bomb hit down from Dante! What is that? One of the most freakishly good tracer performances I have witnessed in the Overwatch League.
Yeah, this ain't your garden variety DPS play, ladies and gentlemen. Dante, he is the full package. Much of that highlight clip features him on his beloved Tracer, and even when she's denied from him or any other of his DPS picks. In fact, even when both DPS heroes in hero pools out of rotation are ones he plays, he still finds a way to have an extremely high impact on the game. Here's his Echo stats so far from the series, Matthew. He has been pretty darn dominant.
Yeah, one of the better Echo players we have in the league, and I think, like you mentioned, two of his most known or best heroes, you would say, are out of the pool in terms of Tracer and Sombra. To see him still be a huge player for the Outlaws is a great sign for the Outlaws fans moving forward. We know how versatile Dante is. We've seen him play tons of different things in the past. Juby stays in for the next map. It'll be Dreamer who comes in, though, for Junggu. So more changes here in the main tank role for Houston. We'll see what that means going into Nimbani.
We saw Juby show us more than just the expected Lucio, Matt. Suffice to say, there were no loose screws on the Outlaws setup on Volskaya, especially the defense. That was absolutely impregnable. Definitely a promising sign there as well as the hero pool, or at least at league level, of this newest pickup for the Outlaws, or one of the newer pickups rather, start to expand further and further. Nimbani is the last chance for the Toronto Defiant to stay alive in this series and crucially give themselves a crack at being a part of the knockouts here in the June Joust. They really want to be in the mix. They want to have a chance to be the dark horse in the race to Hawaii. But right now, they are looking like they are flagging behind the pack. And Outlaws, comfortable lead. The Volskaya, I think, the Volskaya map was really when our perception gets shattered, right? When the reality of just maybe how far apart these two teams are, at least on that map, hits. So there needs to be a recovery. The Defiant needed to shake it off.
Maybe not how far apart these two teams are, but maybe where the peak is for Houston, for where Toronto's kind of peak would be. So Toronto on defense looks to be playing the Orisa again. I'm interested what you bring in Dreamer for. Do you put him on the Winston? Because what they're looking at right now is a lot like what we saw with map number 1. The Winston-based compositions with a Moira, Lucio, maybe Happy plays the Reaper here. We'll see what they decide to do, though.
I do wonder, because playing a double shield composition on attack on this map requires a decent amount of maneuvering, right? You really need to... A lot of time you go under, you wrap around, you try and actually turn the defenders into attackers based on positioning. And that requires some fancy footwork to get there. Now, will it be... Right, okay, so Winston Diva here. Okay, the Moira setup, so very classic Outlaws comp here.
And like I said in map number 1, they obviously don't win map number 1 playing this for a large portion of it. But you're not going up against, Reaper, Symmetra. You're not going up against a Doomfist. There's more options to make plays here with the composition versus the composition that Toronto's putting out.
Good start for the Outlaws. They get that initial vantage point and then make the dive. Dreamer, though, pulls up a little bit short of his intended target. He's intercepted by Nice & Co. But Zada's also taken down. Arguably, that hits the Defiant harder. They still have a shield to work with, but Michelle's playing the low ground here, and the rest of the Defiant have to drop down to join him, ceding that advantageous high ground position that Piggy now looks to make use of. And in doing so, he gets around behind Michelle's shield, and that's an Outlaws point take, Matt. They have the card.
Yes, Piggy controls the high ground there, doesn't let Nice or Aspire get set up on it. And then Michelle just can't push in. You can't just run right into the Reaper. You're not going to end up coming out on top of that, especially as Grimzo's just pocketing that Reaper from behind. So the Outlaws, this time they make this composition work. Toronto, they made some adjustments. You know, Sato came back on the ball. Now he goes back to the Orisa here, and they'll bring in Michelle to play the Diva. So this will be much easier to kind of like track Dante up in the sky. You won't all be on Aspire. They'll also be able to use the defense matrix to keep Aspire alive.
Feels like much less of a vulnerability now, as the Sigma couldn't traverse between the high and low levels easily at all. Here's the Outlaws, another dive. Michelle sees this and immediately peels. Dreamer goes for a backline target and gets blown up. But the real dive was actually happening on the high ground. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out either for the Outlaws, as they come up with very little. The Valkyrie gets used there by Ansunjay, rather, for the extra healing. And Nice makes a Reaper of himself.
So you still get the card to a decent position if you're the Outlaws, and nobody gets kind of killed on the way out, so you're going to be able to get another fast engage. This time, though, you'll have Sound Barrier to use. A Sound Barrier plus, you know, a duplicate should be able to secure the point.
I mean, you want the Cole, potentially even more so, just because of how you can pressure the enemy main tank. Again, so Sato feeling like Hardy right now. Definitely getting ignored in the middle of the pack. Everyone going around him, and Juby's going to make it even harder for Sato to get back and defend his team. This is one of the key weaknesses of Orisa. On maps like this, you just go straight over, or through, or around. Whichever way you go, Circuitous is the name of the game. And the Outlaws do just that.
There's nothing they could do against that, Toronto, to be fair. They had no big support ult. They had used the Valkyrie, and they used Amp Matrix in the previous fight. They had nothing else going into it. And it's a dive composition with Primal Rage and Sound Barrier coming at you with a Reaper. I mean, not really much of anything they could do there. These last, at least right now, with the way that Houston's rolling, I mean, these last two maps could be fast.
Cart's on the move. Dante wants to play their flank here. Nice, never really needs any encouragement to play a flanking position. This time, though, defensively, he just needs to keep Dante in check. Dante with 4 kills in the previous fight. A big duplication. Oh, Aspire was dead before Dante even got there. He just confirms, gives him a chalk outline and gets on with the job. Nice able to win out on the flank there, and it looks like the resurrect was not possible. Too risky for Juby.
Not able to push that far up and get that res. Last show on the flank. On the side gets 2. Now Aspire with the back with the res, he'll get 1. So Toronto stabilizes a little bit here on defense. They go back now, and they'll play the Sigma. So the Sigma's probably in a response to the Hangzhou on the other side, and then also the double shield coming out for Houston. So Houston does have this big combo to set up. Hold plus Dragon Strike coming in next. You fully expect Sato to probably either follow Sato or Lastro to use their ultimates at the beginning. The Outlaws to probably kite around, just wait it out. A Halt comes in, they kite it out. Dragon comes through though, and Dante's able to tee on Nice.
The Dragon, I just think, prevents the Defiant from chasing the Outlaws inside that small room. I think it's important to give him that space, but this res won't be enough. It'll be far too late for that, because Nice is absolutely crushing.
Yes, they bring him back, and he's able to do a lot of work. So Toronto, 2 fights in a row. They got to start feeling good about themselves. They ended up using the Supercharger and the Amp Matrix, and those are like the 2 scariest things coming around the corner. Happy now over to the McCree. I'm more interested why we haven't seen Happy pick up like the Ashe. His Ashe is really strong. Could be pretty effective here, but go with the McCree. Play a little bit closer together, as you will have the Amp Matrix here. So the Amp Matrix with the McCree damage could be huge on that front line.
Supercharger on the way. Here's that Amp Matrix, Matt. You see Sato tries to push ahead of it straight away. Does not want to get caught inside the zone of amplification. He wraps around the left-hand side, as does Nice. Both of them caught in the gravitic flux, and this will be the end of that duplication for Nice. So he doesn't get a flux. Dante, obviously, copies Sigma himself. He'll have a flux, though, and that should be it. Not really much to be done here. Nice needs to be shut down, but not before he gets Juby. Still, the card gets home. 2 minutes 13 on the clock. And again, 2 Sigmas always better than 1.
I was going to say that Sigma duplicate is just so nasty because there's a flux that Piggy has towards the spawn of Toronto, and then there's another flux with the players who are separated off to the other side coming in from Dante. Just so much damage coming down. I mean, what, 50% HP? I mean, it's massive on both sides of the field, pretty much. So the Outlaw is able to get it across. 2 minutes 13, really good time bank here for Nimbani. I think if you're Houston, you focus on your point A defense. From A to B, it's really just about stalling. I mean, that's such a difficult map, point of the map to hold. I think the biggest question for Houston is, do you come out and play double shield on defense? Do you come out and play Winston-based composition? They'll play the double shield, so they want to deny that high ground. This time you will have Happy play the Ashe. So I was kind of asking where it was on offense. He'll play it here on D.
That means that he probably won't play with the Orisa mat, right? He probably plays on, on off angle or on the other side of the high ground balcony, just being sort of pocketed. Maybe they leave Piggy with him, but I doubt it. They probably stack both tanks on this right-hand side. I mean, otherwise, like, you could take McCree, right, and just play the flashbang defensively, but Happy actually does want to play here. Fair enough.
I believe this is Dante 4K, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, he's able to get the bomb up in the sky, so he comes right back on the map. I mean, it's filthy stuff.
I mean, he was doing this yesterday, man, as well.
Yeah.
More bomb kills than Piggy. I guess he gets more ultimates, in fairness, because he generates them quicker, but what a threat. Someone who can play everything on your team as Echo.
Right. I was going to say, and he's able to play Echo. So
well, it's not just can play anything, he's legitimately, like,
good.
Very dangerous, in all of those roles. All right. So Crimzo is the one that plays apart from the rest of the team. They'll keep the Ashe with them in formation.
I think the Ashe is over on this side of the map. Just for, the kill that Happy got here is like a great reason why, because they're trying to get Aspire and Niced on the side on this off angle. If they give it up completely, they're just going to get pushed out of this high ground. So they need to challenge it and respect it somehow. And that's why you see Dante just flying over the top constantly, just shooting over towards that mega health pack side. And same with Happy. They want to deny any type of damage these players can cause from the side.
Happy also gets more dynamite value, I think, if he throws it at the tanks as they try and push out. Nice is in trouble. Yep, Happy just has to hit a second shot there. Anshin J may have had healing beam on there, but it's just not enough time for him to get the Echo back to health after such a big hit from Happy. This is bad for Toronto. They're losing a bit of time now. The one, I guess, upside is that there's a duplicate sort of on the way, but Lastro on this Baptiste. No air matrix available for either of the Baps.
Well, they used it here in this previous fight. They tried to use the M-Matrix to give themselves enough damage, because you're not getting damage from the side. You can't just walk into it. They're going to rely on the duplicate here from Nice, as he goes right in on the flank. Just goes right into the heart of the Outlaws team. Duplicates. Doesn't matter, because Piggy ends up using his Gravitic Flux. Dante uses a duplicate of his own. And it's not enough to get anywhere close to making a play for the point.
I mean, Dante's having an insane map right now. Again, that's another Sigma duplication. You heard multiple voice lines there. A lot of Dutch being spoken as it was, like 2 Gravitic Fluxes back-to-back from the Outlaws. The first one gets rid of Lastro, crucially.
Here might be a window of opportunity, though, for Toronto. Gravitic Flux, Valkyrie, Supercharger in the mix. This could be enough pressure to push Houston off of that high ground and give it over to Toronto.
Somebody get me some healing.
The Flux is the only thing that gets me excited, I think, there from the Defiant. Let's see what they get with it. Okay, so Dreamer doesn't use... Interesting. Dreamer either doesn't have Fortify, just doesn't choose to use it there. He feels safe enough to not go for it. So there's the Flux. There's the Air Matrix. Happy does go down. Aspire does that, though, without any amplification. Just a clean headshot. Piggy gets a big kinetic grasp, so he can play low ground for a bit. And here comes Bob, straight onto the point here. Happy had one available as well, but was out of the fight at the time. And here's one tick for the Defiant.
Well, they'll get Happy back, and then Dante is he's on a raft here, trying to get towards the point. So Happy will send his Bob in. This will be enough to contest.
Aspire more like Perspire. Dante flattens him. Nicely done there with the sticky bombs. Sato going to get dropped as well, and that Gravitic Flux seals the deal. 35 seconds left. Aspire knew Dante was coming, and he still couldn't do anything about it. That is what I mean when I say how dangerous Dante is at Echo.
Well, it's such a difficult position to play from because the Bob goes on and contest. You know that the Outlaws are going to follow the Bob up and push and take position on the point. You can't just turn your way from that because the rest of your team's going to get steamrolled, but you also just can't let Dante with a Mercy Pocket fly behind you free up in the sky. As Sato on the Wrecking Ball trying to make it interesting here. Duplicates for both sides.
Sato thinking about the ice cold bottle waiting for him in the fridge. But he needs to keep his team alive in this series, at least to garner some reward. Michelle steps up here and it's an air matrix from a weird angle. This is going to be really hard for the Defiant to deal with now. Again, Dante springs forward. There's a duplicate available. All he needs is a target. And he may not even have to bother with it. Nice now there, forced to go for pretty speculative focusing beams. Can't find any purchase, and the Defiant slip off the cliff face. It's going to be the Houston Outlaws to extend their record to 7-1, Matthew. A little bit of a slow start to the June Joust, but they are looking primed for a big performance in knockouts.
I mean, after map number 1, just statement win after statement win for the Outlaws. They held them from taking that first point on Rialto. They set a 5-minute time bank and hold them from taking point A on Volskaya. Complete the map here on Nimbani and then hold them again from taking that first point. After map number 1, this was so one-sided. The Outlaws made the right adjustments. They started to click. And I think you see why they're a very scary team for a lot of teams here in the Western region in the June Joust.
Absolutely. Showing some real depth as well. It was discussed on Watchpoint yesterday. And the question was, I think, posed to both Custer and Johnny, who have been in these positions before. Like, how crazy would it be to switch up your main tank and your main support, on your lineup? And they both sort of said it's quite an upheaval, not just for communication, but also for cohesion's sake. The Outlaws are able to show themselves to be two distinctly different teams when they need to be. But I guess the commonality is that both of them are absolutely world-class. On the Outlaws, showcases their depth for a big win here. Our player of the match for this series, presented by Xfinity, goes to someone with a huge impact, especially over the first couple of maps. It's Happy Matt. Someone able to match the flanking pressure of Neist and deliver consistent connections and damage on this McCree. The Hangzhou switch later on also looks very, very good, but you have to say Happy really made his mark early in the series.
And we know how good Aspire was the other day against the Shock. It wasn't really a huge factor in this match. It was really taking this one-on-one with Happy. A lot of times, winning those aim duels, Happy comes out on top. But I think you mentioned Nice gives a lot of teams trouble on the Echo because he plays this like an odd place of always coming around on these long flanks, trying to hide. And Happy did a fantastic job tracking him a lot of the series, not letting him get behind the Outlaws, cause a lot of problems. And you see what it does when you're not able to do that for Toronto, where Toronto falls pretty handily. Really sick series for Happy.
And you can see McCree, his role is developing more into just, I guess, supportive or, defensive, providing crowd control and also large damage output. Less of a duelist here, so you're not looking towards your sort of solo kills if you're assessing a McCree play. A very solid work from Happy. And again, I think we teased this out in Rialto a little bit, Matt. It's that low economy style that doesn't need a lot of resources invested. Is what allows your record player to go absolutely nuts. You know what I mean? To go on these wild flanks, to go very, very aggressive, to push in, secure kills on tanks especially, and then go for those gigantic duplicates. So Happy probably used to being a star in previous metas, and Dante was always more of a generalist. But now, because of how powerful the Echo is and how important she is, you can just see where the focus shifts there. Great stuff from the Houston Outlaws, Matt. We look forward to seeing how they go. I'm surely they'll be making their way into knockouts. We're going to head to a very quick interview now and get some thoughts from the winning team. Again, we've heard a lot from the Outlaws, but let's hear now from Piggy with Danny.
Mitch and Matt, thank you very much. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Game Break presented by Cheez It Grooves. We're joined now by Piggy from Houston Outlaws. Congratulations on your big win. Piggy 선수 인터뷰에서 너무 감사하고요. 오늘 승리 너무나 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
You don't sound that happy. 그렇게 별로 이겼는데 별로 그렇게 막 즐거워하지 않는 것 같아요, 피기 선수.
이길 걸 알고 있어서.
Right, Piggy says that he's not that excited because he knew that they were going to win today. All right, well let's jump right into the interview. So my first question for you, Piggy, is you guys were pretty dominant throughout the whole series today. Other than the first map, first control map, where you guys, sort of seem to sort of struggle against the Defiant. What caused you guys to lose on Lijiang? 방금 이제 당연히 이길 걸 아셨다고 했지만은, 저 어떻게 보면 오늘 경기를 쭉 보면 당연히 휴스턴이 좀 이렇게 우세를 탔던 것 같은데, 첫 번째 리장 타워에서 좀 살짝 힘들어하는 모습을 보였던 것 같아요. 리장에서 무슨 일이 있었고 또 어떻게 해서 아쉽게 좀 이렇게 패배를 하셨는지. 네.
제가 원래 좀 쟁탈이 좀 약했던 것 같아요. 그냥 뭔가 스크림 할 때부터 뭔가 쟁탈이 좀 유독 약했던 것 같아서 딱히 저도 별 생각이 안 들었었어요.
Right, so Piggy says that, I think the most logical reason was, Houston Outlaws, our team is sort of weak on control. Even in scrims, we were having troubles on control maps whenever we practiced and when we scrimmed. Definitely, control maps is the map that sort of, that we always sort of have difficulties on. Other than that, nothing much. So yes, basic bottom line is control maps are the hardest for our team. All right, second question for you, Piggy, is you have been playing alongside Chengdu even back in Thailand Esports and before Overwatch League, and you sort of carry that synergy over when you both joined the Outlaws. But now in the Overwatch League, we're sort of seeing you play with a new main tank, Dreamer. How's that been going for you? 짱구 선수와는 당연히 어떻게 보면 컨텐 시절 때부터 쭉 같이 이렇게 시너지를 발휘해 오면서 같이 플레이를 했지만은 리그를 들어온 후에 짱구 선수가 아닌 드리머 선수와도 요즘 좀 함을 맞추고 계신데요. 드리머 선수와의 좀 이렇게 탱크 듀오 좀 어떠신가요?
아직 잘 안 맞는 것 같아서 좀 그런데 이제 맞춰가면 더 세질 것 같아요.
Right, definitely. I think there's still work for us to do. I definitely feel like we're not there yet. We're not at the synergy where I have with Chengdu. So we definitely need some work, and I definitely feel like if we have more practice, me and Dreamer will, I think, definitely be a stronger tank duo. Definitely. All right, that is it for the interview, Piggy. Thank you so much. Piggy 선수 오늘 여기 인터뷰 여기까지 하겠고요. 인터뷰해 주셔서 너무 감사드립니다.
네, 수고하셨습니다.
감사합니다. All right, let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you, Piggy. Congrats to the Houston Outlaws. And let's talk about this game. While Toronto did manage to snatch that control map, afterwards it was all Houston Outlaws. I mean, 2 full holds and then 26-4 final blows on Volskaya, which I'm pretty sure Toronto Defiant would like to forget all about. They were just, outdoing them in every metric there, Costa.
Yeah, it was interesting because even Piggy says himself, the Houston Outlaws, they don't feel comfortable on control and they don't look comfortable on control. It feels like they're playing this rush style, but it doesn't really suit the way that they like to play the game. But you go further into the series, as soon as we ended up in this double shield Orisa style of playing the game, Toronto just couldn't match up. They look okay at this style. If you are Toronto, it's not the worst thing in the world. Houston are just better. Anything you can do, I can do better. And that's what this felt like. Their synergy was better, their individual mechanics across the board was better, and that's why they kept getting on these rolls, they kept getting these defensive full holds, and it was just a clinic by the Houston Outlaws. Love to see it. We have a lot of concerns for the Houston Outlaws in the longevity of it, but they're putting those to rest by just watching matches like these where Toronto Defiant are kind of like the gatekeepers, the middle of the pack team right now. Houston Outlaws showing they're well ahead of that. So really excited to see more of the Houston Outlaws as we go into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're looking at Houston Outlaws' schedule, they may not have had to face off against like the top teams. However, the must-wins they have played, they are winning them convincingly, and that is also a good sign of their strength, right? So I hope to see more of that from the Houston Outlaws moving forward. Now, it is time for Crunch Time presented by Cheesy Grooves, and it is most certainly crunch time for Atlanta. Just like I said about the Houston Outlaws, talking about those must-win scenarios, this is one for Atlanta. If they want to prove to us that they are as good as we very much want them to be and make them out to be, then they need to be able to convincingly defeat the Vancouver Titans today, Reinforce.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we've seen from the Atlanta range so far at this stage, where we see a lot more double shield, we see Pelican on the Echo, you know, Atlanta Reign, they could be a top 4 team. They've looked very impressive so far. Obviously, they lost to the LA Gladiators yesterday, but that was a very even match. I think LA Gladiators surprised some people by how strong they were. But the Atlanta Reign should still feel proud of that match. You know, they did lose it, but they looked good. We know that Atlanta Reign is a really good team. So by any means, they should stomp this match. Like, they should be stomping the Vancouver Titans if they want to establish themselves as a top team going into the knockout matches. Obviously, the record helps. You get higher seeding going into the knockout matches, can maybe play against a favorable opponent. So, yes, you're right, Zoe. The Atlanta Reign should absolutely look for a 3-0 here against the Vancouver Titans.
I mean, we all thought they had it in the back against the Gladiators as well. When I say all, everyone but Costa. You know, Costa was right. Yeah. Yeah, you know, listen, I tried to be nice to you, pointed out that you did something right. You're just coming at me like that.
Too smug. I'm just too smug. I'm sorry.
Too
this is all I got going for me right now, so I'm running with it.
True. But I mean, yeah, Atlanta Reign, we all do agree that this is a good meta for them and they should be shining. So let's hear what our next caster pair has to say about the Atlanta Reign. Bren and Sideshow. What do you think? Where do you place them currently if you had to make your own rankings?
That's a wonderful question. I am placing them. Can I play the Swiss card?
No.
You're not Swiss.
You're not. That's
I know.
correct.
I am not Swiss. Zoe, can I borrow your Swiss card for this one?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'm not. I don't want to place them because I think at the moment the middle of the pack teams are like they're pretty hard to place. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Brent, I mean, you belong on the desk doing the bold predictions segment. You really do. You'd be a natural. You'd fit right in. I think the Atlanta Reign team look really dangerous right now, but also we haven't really seen them tested against teams like the Dallas Fuel or the San Francisco Shock that we're going to be seeing them later on today battling against each other. Those are the kind of caliber of opponent that I'm so excited to see Atlanta battle against if they make it into the June Joust and they're able to make a deep run in the tournament, because already we've seen the cracks in the armor when they took on the Gladiators yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny, you came out here and you were just like, oh, it's going to be a stomp. That's how you've hyped up this upcoming match.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, so when it isn't a stomp, that when it gets really exciting for you guys in the caster booth, and you'd be like, Johnny set us up, it isn't a stomp, and therefore the match is exciting.
Okay,
I'm a storyteller. Fantastic.
Let's get into the action and let's get into the game. Thank you very much, Watchpoint crew, as well, as we're heading into this one. Johnny predicting it's going to be a stomp, but he's predicted the future and he knows this is going to be a close match, and he set us up for a wonderful storyline of the Vancouver Titans battling back, against all expectations, beating down the Atlanta Reign, because this is a team that is still searching for their first win.
Right, and I think that's a fitting place to begin, honestly, because there's still a couple of teams in the league who are searching for that ever-elusive first win of 2021, and the Vancouver Titans are one of them. This is a really rough match to try and do it, but it's... the Atlanta Reign team has not been immortal, right? They look very strong right now in the June Joust, but they don't look to be our #1 team. And with the level of parity that there is in the league, perhaps they can do something. At this point, it's just about being able to find positives for Vancouver Titans when they play. They got smacked around last time when they played against the Gladiators. So in this match, even more so, Bren, than them getting their first win on the table, to me, it's about them looking good as a core. Even if they go down, but some of the maps are close and it's tight, the Vancouver Titans fans can have some confidence in the team for the future. Remember as well that this is them playing with a new main tank who's only been fielded once previously. Changsik has come in, hasn't played for a huge period of time before now playing in the Overwatch League. And that kind of stuff, it takes time.
Especially the tank role, right? It's one thing that Toronto obviously getting a Spire in on a short-term contract and bringing him in and fitting him into that system, but a tank player, one of your tank players is, you're changing up so much about how you run the team, like during matches. It really does, I think, hinge on a lot of that, and finding that synergy is going to be so integral for this team. On the other side of things, the Atlanta Reign are coming out, and again, you got Kai and Pelican. This was our, I think, storyline when we were talking about these guys the other day. But this DPS duo, honestly, when the Atlanta Reign were playing against the Gladiators, it was this DPS battle that was occurring, and they are such a dynamic duo. These guys are so threatening when they're in the server.
They certainly are. I mean, we've been talking them up all season long, and for good reason. The Atlanta Reign's DPS line, I don't even just want to say the duo, because it's not just Kai and Pelican. We might see Edison being subbed in at some point, though he doesn't normally make appearances in this meta. But yeah, that entire lineup is so scary to try and battle against if you're the Vancouver Titans right now. You have to give them an enormous amount of respect.
And honestly, the Atlanta Reign, you can see them as all smiles. They're feeling quite cheerful as we head into this one. Nepal will be the first map coming into this one, and I was peeking, Josh, at the lobby chat, the pre-match chat. And the Atlanta Reign were like, I think the admin was like, "Are you guys ready?" And Atlanta Reign were like, "Well, we're playing the geography guessing game." They were playing like a team game of, I'm not going to say the actual website, but like they were playing the game where you guess the country you're in or the city you're in. Okay. So that's the kind of prep that they've got, the kind of confidence they've got coming into this match. And you can see it in their camps. I mean, they're all smiles. These guys, I mean, they might be coming into this. I mean, you know, Johnny was saying it's probably going to be a bit of a stomp, but, you know, is this a bit of hubris here?
I mean, those can be good team-building exercises, I suppose. Keep the camaraderie high, make sure that everybody's in good spirits before the game. I wonder if they could point to Nepal on a map. Do you think you could, Brent?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm absolutely incredible at those games. I say this with complete confidence. You know I am as well. This isn't me fronting. No. I can listen. You give me a license plate, a patch of grass, the soil composition. I can guess where we are in the world. Like, genuinely, you could drop me off anywhere and I could do it.
Yeah, he just can't get lost. You'd be a fantastic tracker.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Well,
here's what I'm interested in, Brent.
Yeah.
The Vancouver Titans are running this rush composition, right? They're running the Moira Lucio with the Changsik playing Winston. That is something that Atlanta struggled against yesterday. So if Vancouver can get this working really, really well, it could pose an early threat. Okay, well, Linksa just got caught completely off guard there.
Did he not have the raid form? I'm not too sure. I mean, he potentially could have avoided the halt, but that's a big kill, and already you see that teammate coming through. Changsik is down, and the Atlanta Reign. Oh boy, okay. That's a quick and easy little team fight.
Hello, Linksa's gone over to Genji. He's decided Reaper is not the pick for him, and we're going for Genji Echo. This is a composition that not many teams have been running, but notably, I was loving watching the Dallas Fuel run a composition that was quite similar to this. Now, okay, it's one thing when it's Sparkle, another thing when it's Linksa. We haven't seen the Linksa Genji in quite some time, but it used to be, if we're talking way back in the annals of history, it used to be good.
It used to be dominant. I'm sure he's been putting in the practice as well. There you go, trying to basically put a bit of that pressure into Iris, but shut down. Bit of a dive into the back line, the D-Mech on top of it. The Vancouver... Okay, Josh, a quick little question for you. You might not know the answer to this. The Vancouver Titans still doing that breadstick thing?
That's a really good question. I think it was for the whole season, but I'm not sure. And for anybody at home who's lost, the Vancouver Titans were doing some kind of sponsor thing, I assume, which gave fans breadsticks if they went to a map 5. Yeah, I don't know. Are you trying to call it this early, Brent? There's no way. No.
I'm not a two-team fight Andy over here. You know, I'm saying that the fight continues here because Gator's leading it in with a supercharger. It's going to be giving him quite a bit of damage. Try and pump in these shots. You can see Kai, and the threat of this is really just going to be pushing Vancouver away. They can't be playing into this one now. They're just going to be waiting it out. Finally, it fades, and then now they can start going. So the coalescence is going to come through here from Rob. It's a lot of damage, but the Amp Matrix is going to be met as well. They can't play into this when the Deadeye's being held by Kai. Eventually, it's going to be fading. The point almost getting flipped over. Now the blade comes through. Linksa trying to turn this one. Sambar as well. Point not flipped over just yet. Linksa's trying to get value out of this one, but he's stunned up, and there we go. Taken down. Terra ends up using the duplicate there, and he has built up the tactical visor. 2 kills now as he fades out of the duplicate form. It's even trades all over the place. Changsik very, very, very low. Mass is going to be trying to chase him down, and they flip the point over, but ultimately it seems like Atlanta Reign, they've got the bodies necessary to try and flip this one over. Fried Wiener not going to be able to get back into the mech. And we see the stall heroes coming out as the Vancouver Titans just try and touch this one. Fire's trying to get onto the point, keep that overtime going. We'll be able to do that. The mines as well, possibly turnable here.
It's looking incredibly unlikely, Brent. The Vancouver Titans, they had one good opportunity to flip this in their favor, and they just couldn't stick the landing. That was a really close team fight, the one beforehand. The first one where you feel like Vancouver have a serious chance off the back of really Teru using the space that Lynx have provided, but it's just not enough in the end. They're getting completely outclassed here in that first round.
Tell you what some of the defining features of Nepal are, Josh, as well.
Oh, please do.
If anybody is trying to figure that out. This is one of the things that really does, I think, highlight how good the map design is in Overwatch as well, like the art team, and how good of a job they do. But like the mountain ranges, obviously, there's going to be a big factor in terms of that as well. So if you showed me like, I don't know, like a still image, a lot of mountain ranges as well, that's tends to be a bit of a giveaway, I suppose, as well. You're looking at kind of like the mountain ranges around, I don't even know what the mountain range is called, to be honest. So
the Himalayas?
The Himalayas, right, yeah.
Yeah, geography wizard over here,
something
by
like
the
that. Well, I mean, I'm pretty good, but I forget names of things anyway.
Okay. Well, coming into this round, the Atlanta Reign are running a Reaper May composition, so it's very much similar to like the Rush or Brawl comps that we might have seen previously. And there's another halt. This is a mirror image of what happened in the first round. Lynx are going down as the first pick off the back of a halt.
Yeah, the halts have kind of been brutal. I mean, Gator, this is something that he's really, really good at, honestly, on the Orisa.
He is, yeah.
It seems like something that's not really worth gassing up, but the halts are so important in this composition in terms of comboing it with abilities and getting that value. Look at those icicles as well. Pelican, okay, just beating down the turrets in midair. Has the wall available. You can see a bit of pressure being applied now as the Vancouver Titans are trying to dive onto the other side of the point. That's going to be a freeze coming up. Terror goes down, and that's a wall. Transit cannot back off, even with the fortify. The tank line decimated. The Vancouver Titans back to the drawing board.
Yeah, back to the drawing board completely there. Vancouver, they weren't really able to get a foothold in. With Lynx are down and that damage removed, they tried to maneuver. They got a 3-man halt from Chansik, but there's no follow-up and thought process of how they want to enact on that advantage that they've set themselves up for. And overall, okay, we reset. They have the Amp Matrix with which to engage, but not a huge amount of damage that can really go through it since Lynx is on such a short range hero here. Okay, the teleporter broken immediately though. So that plan for the Vancouver Titans stuffed instantly.
Yeah. And they can't step out of here. The Amp Matrix is too potent.
That was a lot of damage on Massa.
One of their own. Yeah,
they can't
might be able to convert it into a kill. They cannot. The teleporter's still up though. They're going to be retaking the high ground control. The Atlanta Rangers backing off to the point now. They're ready to wait out these ultimates. Yeah, Kai's
position. He's playing Reaper, by the way. He's miles away.
Wait, here we go. Oh, that's what he was waiting for. The Immortality Field not able to save Rolf. Sim Shield as well will be strewn across the points just to give them a bit more damage mitigation. And it's the Atlanta Rangers kindling back, winning the team fight. They seem to have just a very firm understanding of how to play this composition, and the Vancouver Titans are just a little bit too slow to adjust to a lot of what's being chucked at them.
Yeah, very slow decision making. The pace and tempo is making a large difference. I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch here at all. Yeah. And the Atlanta Reign take, frankly, unchallenged map 1. There was one team fight, actually. There was a singular team fight where it felt dangerous, and yet Atlanta still managed to get the win. That is one of the most one-sided maps of Overwatch you will ever see.
I mean, it's one of the most one-sided I think I've ever casted. Yeah, quite absurd, quite quick as well overall. And you can see the Atlanta Reign obviously still all smiles, laughing, maybe a couple of the geography games in between the break, who knows what they've got planned. But we're going to be going to a short break. So yeah, stick around guys. We'll see if the Vancouver Titans have got what it takes to try and turn this series around, potentially showcase that they are capable of taking down some of the big dogs like the Atlanta Reign. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Let's take a look at our player resume presented by Indeed, and we've got the fried wiener. There he is. In this picture, no mustache, no tucked-in jersey. This is a guy that, I mean, he's got a look, and he's gone for it. And honestly, I'll tell you what else would, I think, suit fried wiener as well on top of that. Like the mullet. The mullet's coming back in, Josh. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I have been told this. It's not something that I'm personally going to go for, but I agree, it would look pretty good on this guy. He's definitely got a certain look. I love the way he pulls it off. And also, Brent, it's his first time facing his former team of the Atlanta Reign. So since making that swap over to the Vancouver Titans at the beginning of this year, he has not yet faced off against his former team.
There you go.
You can see there that some of his statistics from when he was playing a lot back in 2019 as well, on the Diva, on the Roadhog, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been a bit rough for Fried and for the rest of the Vancouver Titans as well. But they're maintaining positivity. I mean, look at them. They're still smiling, still out here, enjoying themselves, even though they're 0-5 right now.
We're missing a third of the team.
True. I mean, I'm assuming Chancey and Rolf are not in tears, though. They're probably got a similar kind of emotional state. To the
I mean, you got to always go into every match as well, thinking the possibility of you winning as well. I think as
it becomes harder and harder as you go on, though.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I don't really have much advice, I think, for them. I don't know if they're going to be listening back onto this one, but as soon as you think that it's over, I mean, it is over at that point, and. At the end of the day, we know these guys are quite talented. I think Chancik as well as an individual who's been kind of like coming and kind of forced and thrown into this kind of environment of the Overwatch League has been doing a serviceable job as well, considering the circumstances. But up against the Atlanta Reign, I mean, these guys, they didn't show any mercy in map number 1. It was absurd. And now they're playing this composition that they like to play. I mean, they're teasing a couple of picks like Farah. I don't think they're going to be sticking to this. So yeah, Atlanta Reign on this comp with the Orisa Diva. Oof, that's a nasty combo.
It certainly is. And Vancouver are going to have their work cut out for them to be able to stop this. Once the momentum begins, he looks dangerous here out on the Widowmaker. Lynx has got a big task of shutting him down.
He's stone cold. I don't think I've ever seen him smile, even when he's popping heads. Oh, that's a dangerous one. Getting quite low as well. You can see it requires a lot of discipline to play these Winston compositions. Vancouver Titans, if they overstep themselves by just an inch, you're going to get punished just like that. Yeah, and you can see Chancing tried to kind of support him, I suppose, as well. Wasn't able to do that. 2 early picks going away at the Atlanta Reign.
Very, very early on. And now Atlanta just carry on all of this momentum. Kai's been able to find picks, that one into a halt, but he's been going for jump shots previously too. And Fried's going to get finished off by his former team so that he can't even touch the payload. This is some severe momentum. Good kill, but that one's going to get rezzed immediately anyway, so that doesn't halt anything here for Atlanta. They're going to keep plowing forwards.
Now, if I'm thinking silver linings here for the Vancouver Titans, this particular section of Dorado, it's kind of brutal to try and attack through. They've got plenty of opportunities, especially playing around this high ground control, I guess, with the more mobile comps, to try and pick apart the Atlanta Reign when they're trying to basically push this cart through. And you can see them right now, as long as they're maintaining this high ground control, they should be in a good position, but they cannot afford to get picked off like that. Now they have the res available. They're going to be able to get Lynx back up.
No, I don't think so. It was in an unresable position, and Pelican's watching. Plus, they have the info sight from Kai, so they know if the Mercy ever goes for it. Flyer just doesn't have that kind of freedom.
Yeah, the nano is used on Terry, but he doesn't get too much done with it. Chancik is going to fall as well because he didn't have that damage reduction. The bomb comes over, off will fall. And Lynx on the Widowmaker. Let's take out Hawk, and we see the res come back up, so the back line is there for the Vancouver Titans, but Hawk is going to be also brought back into action. Now the supercharger from Gator. A bit more damage now to lead in the rest of their team as they are just pushing this car. It doesn't seem to be too much of an attempt to contest this one. Kai, he's trying to find one of these little angles to try and peek from. Satistroke goes over again. That's a supercharger taken out, and Gator's just trying to hold down this corner. Takes a ton of damage. with the Bionade applied onto him, but now the Ant Matrix around this corner, and the Atlanta Reign, they are not relenting in the slightest. The Vancouver Titans have just let this get pushed all the way to the end of the checkpoint. Chansig with the Primal Rage, he's desperate to try and do something, jumping around the map. Maybe he can put some pressure into Kai, but he's already fallen so low, and he will be removed, taken out of the game. 1.69 meters left to try and push this one. A last-ditch effort coming out from Teru as well. He's going to be the recipient here. The Nanamoose gets 1 kill, maybe turnable here. The Pelican be brought down. Yep, the payload gets pushed in, and that's going to be the 5-minute time back now for the Atlanta Reign to try and do all sorts of dirty work.
It feels like the universe is conspiring against the Vancouver Titans. In their one moment where Teru has a flash of brilliance, takes the nano boost, and the fight looks turnable, the payload just ends up completing, and nobody's there to try and contest it. It must be so hard to maintain positivity in these scenarios when you're just getting battered back over and over again. The bomb over the top. It's just crazy.
I don't know. The payload hasn't stopped moving, Josh. No, the payload has not stopped moving. I don't know how you maintain the positive mental attitude in the face of this. It's absurd. And now Kai, is there anybody going to be able to contest him here at the off angle? I mean, he's pumping in these shots. He's so close to taking somebody's head off. And there we go. Spoken into existence. Rolf will go down. Linksa, okay. Pelican will fall. They get the res off. Teru as well. Massa goes down. The Atlanta Reign have lost a lot of key pieces. Is this what the Vancouver Titans needed to try and get back into this one? Gator goes down as well. The Ant Matrix is committed. This is actually quite big for them. Pelican, though, with the cooldown. Kai is still alive. Kai is still alive. Oh, my goodness. 3 kills of him in the kill feed.